There's been a turn of events over the weekend, and it's not a small turn of events by any stretch of the imagination. President Obama announced the United States was going to start sending military equipment to the rebels in an effort to bring down the regime of Bashar Assad. Now, one reason this is such a serious move is because Russia has let it be known that she will not allow the toppling of Assad, and Iran is in full agreement with that. Iran just announced over the weekend they were sending 4,000 additional troops to fight side by side with the forces of Syria and Bashar Assad. So this puts the United States of America in direct confrontation with Russia. I'm looking at an article right now. It's entitled Analysis: Syria Becomes Multinational War. Now, I think at the outset, we probably should remind all of our listeners that there's a prophecy in the Bible that the greatest war the world has ever known will begin soon from the area of the Euphrates River. It's found in Revelation 9, verse number 13 through 16, and it states there that there are certain angels, 4 angels, that are bound in the great river Euphrates, which were prepared for an hour, a day, a month, and a year to kill the third part of mankind. And another translation of the Bible says to kill a third of all the human beings on earth. So here's this prophecy, 2,000 years old. The prophecies never fail. Never. They always come to pass. We may not know the exact timing of them, but they will always come to pass. Now, this particular prophecy, we know the approximate timing of it from the scriptures, and it appears that the time is now for this war that's going to kill 1/3 of mankind. And remember, the prophecy specifically states that it must begin from the Euphrates River. Now, the Euphrates starts in Turkey, flows down through Syria, down through Iraq. Finally, it empties out into the Persian Gulf along the border of Iraq and Iran. So 4 nations house the Euphrates: Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran. And the Bible says that this war that's going to wipe out 1/3 of mankind is going to begin from the Euphrates River area. Well, that's where all the fighting is today. And like the headline reads, Syria has become a multinational war. Hezbollah is there. Iran is there, and now Iraq is supplying money for the side of Bashar Assad and Syria. In addition to that, the United States has already put equipment in there and then ceased for a while. Now it looks like we are back, at least this is according to all the news reports. Definitely President Obama announced that we were going to start funding the rebels. Now, what's behind all this? Let me give you a couple of paragraphs here. The existing balance of power within the international community is at stake in Syria, and thus requires active U.S. intervention in Syria, in the conflict. President Barack Obama decided this week, after hearing arguments from the leaders of multiple allied countries across Europe and the Sunni world. So the free world has been talking this week to President Obama saying, look, Russia has become very assertive. They're going to end up becoming the dominant power in the Middle East if you do not stand up. Well, President Obama said, okay, I will stand up. Now, the article goes on to say, with the flow of arms from so many different countries, it has become a unique multinational conflict, align the West with the Sunni world against a Russian axis with the Shia led by the Ayatollah regime in Iran. Now, understand something. There are 2 main sections of Islam. There's the Sunnis, making up about 85% of Islam, and then there are the Shias, making up about 15%. All of Islam boasts approximately 1.7 billion people worldwide. So even 15% of that is quite a force on the earth Of course, 85% is the other force. The Shias tend to be a little more radical, a little more militant. So Bashar Assad is Shia. Iraq is, the majority is Shia. Iran is Shia. Hezbollah is Shia. So what we have all these Shia forces, and we have Saudi Arabia, which is Sunni, along with Qatar, which is Sunni, and they're funding the rebels right now. So now we are pitching our tent on the side of the Sunni, apparently, and we're going to start supplying military equipment and finances in order to bring about the toppling of Assad. However, the articles are saying that Assad, Syria, is winning against the rebels. Let me give you a little bit more of this. In fierce opposition to the expansion of Iranian power, Saudi Arabia has been providing arms to the rebels for months. Qatar has allegedly aided the extremist al-Nusra Front that is embedded within rebel ranks. Hezbollah from Lebanon is fully entrenched in fighting in support of Assad, as is Iran itself, with their military guards already orchestrating multiple offensives with notable success. So Iran is actively fighting shoulder to shoulder with the forces of Syria, trying to preserve the reign of Bashar Assad. This is seen as a West against East, Sunni against Shia, and it has all the makings of World War III. Now, I promise you, I don't want this to be World War III, because World War III is going to be so horrible, it will be indescribable. World War III is going to be so far beyond World War II that there won't even be comparison. The Bible says 1/3 of mankind will be killed. Well, there were 52 million killed in World War II. 1/3 of mankind today calculates to 2.3 billion, 42 times World War II. Think about this. We're talking about one person out of every 3 on this planet, according to the prophecy, is going to die in this coming war. And the Bible specifically states the war will begin from the Euphrates River, which flows right down through Syria. So here we are. Have we actually watched the beginning of that war this weekend? I don't know that. I hope not, because it's going to be so horrific. It will be the war of all wars. It also will be the war that will drive the world very swiftly into one world government, a world government with terrible teeth, with a leader who is going to demand total respect and pledging of allegiance to himself. So we're going to see the world make a quantum shift, and only a few outposts of resistance will remain. Now, I'm telling you, all this is going to happen. I'm not telling you it may happen. I've been studying the prophecies of the Bible for over 40 years, and not one of them has ever failed. I began teaching in 1968 that the Berlin Wall would come down, and that would give birth to the New World Order. Well, it was 21 years later, but the wall did come down. And within 20 days of the fall of the Berlin Wall, Mikhail Gorbachev, President George Herbert Walker Bush, and Pope John Paul II came out of their meetings together, announcing the birth of the New World Order, just like I had found prophesied in the Bible. Well, let me tell you, the prophecy about that isn't nearly as clear as the prophecy about this. This prophecy is pinpointed, it's blatant, and we're on the brink of it now. I cannot tell you whether it's going to start today, tomorrow, next week, next month, or maybe even next year or two. I can't tell you, but I can tell you that all of the pieces of the puzzle are lined up right now. Now, if you'd like to know more about this prophecy, we have a DVD out called World War III. That's the simple title of it. If you'd like to have your own copy, The number to call is 1-800-END-TIME. Our operators are standing by, and you can get that now. That comes within a 14 DVD series called Understand the End Time. If you get the whole series, you will get the World War III DVD included. I would urge you, get the series if you possibly can, because you are getting ready to go through a virtual minefield. And if you don't know where the mines are, you could end up in a disaster. But God has given us his word so we can know what lies ahead, so we can avoid the disaster. David said, "Thy word, O Lord, have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against thee." So it's really important that we understand what is going on right now. So over the weekend, President Obama has announced that the United States is going to start supplying the rebels in a blatant attempt to topple the regime of Bashar Assad. Now, in this article, it states that in the report of the United Nations Security Council, the journal suggested the U.S. will play captain of the team of players funneling arms to various groups organizing efforts in the fight against Iran, Hezbollah, and Assad that are currently winning the war. This article acknowledges that Syria is winning the war. Apparently, the leaders of the West said to Obama, "Do you understand that if you lose this fight, that America's image in our world is going to take a direct hit and you may never recover from it?" So consequently, President Obama made the decision. Now, later on in another article, it states that this was not a knee-jerk reaction. They've been debating this for 1 year, and they've been considering it. The decision actually was made several weeks ago. Now, more recently, there was a report made to the Obama administration that chemical weapons were actually had been used by Bashar Assad. And we had stated repeatedly that if chemical weapons were used, that would cause us to have to go in and to do something about it. So we're using that as the excuse, but the article clearly states, no, we made this decision weeks ago. It's not because of these latest reports of the possible use of chemical weapons. We'll tell you more when we get back.